Hey, 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 I'm here. You're here. Welcome to the Michael ALPOUGH Life, Love, and Laughter Show. I'm your host, the Michael Comet ALPOUGH. Shout out to everyone coming in. Shout out to everyone who will be coming in, whether it's today, tomorrow, or years from now. I will be here. It's exciting. Today is Wednesday. Is it Wednesday? Gosh, the week just goes by so fast. Last week I did a whole thing on the days. You might want to check that out. My shows here are to give you information. Okay. Just to be clear about this, I cannot change you. Only you. And I'm talking to you. You. Now, I don't know you. Do you know you? So if there's anything I'm here to do is to bring about an acknowledgement on who you think you are within yourself. And also to add to your thinking. You see, the things I've taken so much time in studying. You know, I didn't have children. It was by my own decision. My daughter, I consider my dog Isabella, it's been almost a year since she's gone. So I have my experience on loving, and I'm happily married. And my life has been about studying and on a spiritual path. And some of you don't even know me. You might not have met me. Some of you have met me. And I believe if you have met me, then you know that I am that person who has been on a spiritual path, and that now is the time to share the experience and the wisdom that came out of all of this study that I've been doing for so long. It takes me a lot of time to do these shows. And I have to review everything. But again, in the whole process, it feels like I'm the one even getting the most out of it, because I'm relearning, rewinding, re-understanding, re-evaluating, so that when I present this information to you, that you will be able to use it for the purpose of life, love, and laughter. And I literally have so many programs already planned. One of the things I'm going to, we just review here, but I'm sometimes I just don't know what I'm going to talk about till it almost comes time before the show, because there's so many things that I want to discuss, things I find out. So, all right. So the topic today is boundaries, and why are they important? And what does that even mean? This is why I have the old brick wall up here. Okay. Our backyard is surrounded by a 6'5", something like that, 6'6" brick wall, the whole backyard. And in my complex here of the houses, this is how everyone's is. So they have a brick wall, or if you're in the park, then you got a fence, which is one across the street. So everybody on that end of the park, they have a fence so you can see right into their backyard. And because of the HSA, you can't fix it. You can't put a curtain up on it. You have to have it open. When you move here, you got to go by the rules. So you can say that the boundaries, we have a boundary in our backyard where nobody can get in. So it's completely private. But if you're in another part of it, the complex, people can see right in there, right in your backyard. So you don't have any privacy. Some people, that's what they wanted. But this is just an example of having boundaries and how do we learn about our own boundaries? Do you have them? Have you ever thought about that? You have your boundaries at work, your boundaries that you put your children under, the boundaries that you put yourself under. But we're talking about here, though, with the CPTSD, complex post-traumatic stress disorder, which all of us are in some type of state because of where it is going on around us. And so you see what's going on around us. It is complex. And so we have to handle it in a complex way. And boundaries have now become more complex. It's understanding what our boundaries are. It's really the important thing is discovering what boundaries actually mean, especially in complex CPTSD. Okay, so I went and got the definition of boundaries. Boundaries show where one thing ends and another begins. Boundaries in a relationship are kind of like this. They help each person figure out where one person ends and the other begins. And in short, boundaries help you define what you are comfortable with and how would you like to be treated by others. I thought this was really interesting in the way it was looked at. I actually liked the way that it showed it and the way the definition is. When you're looking at your own personal boundaries, sometimes they are an evolution of your boundaries. What you thought when you're younger on what boundaries are different than, say, when you get married or you get that job where you move into a different area of life. Okay, so one of the ways I can describe it is having been to Burning Man 8 times over a 10 or 11 year period. Okay, and meeting all these incredible people. And, when you first kind of go to Burning Man, you're going to say, I'll be back and it's forever and I'll be there every year. And when I've met hundreds of people at Burning Man, I've met, if anybody knows me, I've always taken the newbies, or we call them virgins. And they show up at my tent and I show them what Burning Man really means. It's one thing to go out and party. It's another thing to sit back in the revelation of the actual place that you're in. And most of the times I tell them that even if those is their first burning, they think they're going to be back forever, they may not even come back for a second time. Because it's harder to get there one time, let alone 8 times. With 4 with my wife. So to understand that you're going to evolve, this changes you for a week. And what you do with it is what you do with it. And so what ends up happening with a lot of people is when your boundaries are wide open at, say, Burning Man, when you get away from it, then you actually take into account of what you really want in your life. That's what Burning Man is always about. It's about letting go from the year before, taking an account of what you've done and what you want to keep and what you want to let go. And what you want to let go, you throw it in the fire. Now, some people only need to go once. But this is just a thing. So now you get out in back to we call it the fake world, but it is the real world. Burning Man is the fake world. Okay, don't get me wrong, guys. I know what world it is, but it's only for a week. And people have all these things that Burning Man is something permanent, which it's not. And that's what makes it great, is that it's not permanent. It's a place where you go to be, but you can't be all year. You know that if you've gone in more enough times. So people that have gone to Burning Man have lots of them have become successful in the real world because they found themselves at Burning Man and it defined them. And one of the things that you understand about Burning Man, you have to face it head on. You get in a storm, you got to face it. You come into Burning Man, you will be pushed. You will be challenged like you've never been before. You'll see things that just blow your mind and you think you're going to turn into that person, but trifecta people. We know because there's a whole lot of successful people out there like us who went on and became, and you know who you are. We had lots of challenges in our camp. The only way anything was ever fixed was by facing it head on. One of the things that comes here about your boundaries and how you're going to open them or close them. And see, this is what Burning Man is, just an example of what you can become when you decide you're going to learn your boundaries. And one of the things about it is Burning Man, instead of putting boundaries, but Burning Man show where one thing ends and another begins. Okay. Burning Man is in a relationship where kind of like this. Each person helps each other figure out where one person ends, the other begins. It's a new beginning that you can always have, but you can wake up to that new beginning. What do boundaries become for us? Okay. When you could set a boundary for someone, well, please don't speak to me like this. This is one of the things I tell my lady friends. Okay. You feel a man is disrespecting you and he's not a perfect gentleman at the start, then you already know you're in trouble. You're going to have issues. So you'll know you're going to repeat the same pattern of dating the same person over and over again. You're letting them control you. And part of growth is learning boundaries. Okay. And you might have one of the things too, boundaries within yourself. I'm not going to have that next drink. I'm not going to blow my money on this week. I'm going to look out for myself and I'm going to take account that I'm responsible for all my actions. And that is exactly what a spiritual path really is, ladies and gentlemen. It's finding out about you. You. Now, what's the result of these kind of things? Okay, when you do this, right? See, you control the outcome. As best as you can control the outcome. Because why? Because you learned on what you don't want. Sometimes it's more about learning what you don't want than it is what you do want. You've been dating the same guy, and every time you get together with him, he treats you like you don't like to be treated, but you can't help yourself because you have some type of physical connection. There's only one type of person that can, do that for you or whatever. You have to close the door of past relationships if you want to have a future relationship. So if you don't close the door to those relationships, then you're going to get the same over and over and over and over again until you close the door on what you don't want. You're actually blocking the right person that wants to come into your life. But because that person has been working on themselves and making their boundaries and working on themselves, you're actually the one blocking them off. Until you close the door, if you're looking for that one, you have to close the door on everybody else. Once you close that door, now you're in control and open to the person that you are waiting for. And again, they're waiting on you. You may have more in the kitty that you got to deal with than another person, or it just might be the same, okay? But there's always that hope of finding that one. What do? You keep preparing. You keep preparing. It was 8 years between my last date and meeting my wife, because I was working on myself, and then to come to find out, she was too. I'm reading people's posts who are working on themselves to allow this right person, and when the person doesn't come in, they let that person go and keep working on themselves. And this is a really good attitude. And because it is most of the time what you don't want than it is what you do want. So what do you want? You know, maybe you're already in a relationship and you need to improve yourself and take responsibility for you and have an open discussion with not just your other, maybe it's with your kids, maybe with some friends, maybe with some relatives. Maybe some relatives got on, they get on your nerves. Last time you saw them, they said, why aren't you married? You're gaining weight. Keep your day job, And I've heard those before in my life. And, it cuts because it depends on who says it, right? So, but now in its own way, it doesn't, because once you understand yourself and your boundaries, whether or not you have to have a fence, a wall, or a word to protect those boundaries, to protect what you have by not being distracted, of understanding that you control the outcome. And it's complex, ladies and gentlemen. It is. You're a complex being. If you listen to my talk yesterday, I was talking about brain waves and how your brain, the cycle of the brain, if you didn't see it, go back. Go to my YouTube channel. Go back on my Facebook. Go back on my show. You want to know how your brain works. Now, I cannot change you, only you. And so I'm here to give the gift of this word so that you can add to your thinking, whether it challenges you or it disagrees with you. I personally believe it will add to your thinking, and that it will give you resolve. Because, ladies and gentlemen, and my friend, if you don't put your boundaries up, if you don't have your boundaries correct, somebody else will build it for you. Do you want someone to build it for you? Or do you want to be an adult of your mind, adult of your thinking, adult of your thought, and make them your own? I'll be back about 7:15 Pacific, somewhere in that range, tonight. I've just got this thing to talk about trees. But I'm not sure what I'm going to. There's so many things that I want to share. But, I'm talking about the mind. I'm talking about how to understand how the wave patterns, the theta, the beta, the alpha, you see, these things, how they affect you, how your brain works physically. Your research has only begun with me. I'm just here to show you a direction or a road that you can decide. It's just like if you're at Burning Man and you walk by my camp and you see everything in the camp and you come in and we show you all the gifts that we give you when you would come into our camp. Okay, we had our own playground that's 15 feet in the air with a big net that you could just climb up in, and you look out to your surroundings with a DJ 24/7, open bar. People would come and do their big time shows at our camp because we were right on the playa and we'd been there for years. It's like, boo, boo. I'll be back at 7:15. Keep adding to your thinking. Keep adding to the love of yourself. Breathe deep. The love that you have for yourself. When your mind is troubled, fill it with love. Fill it with love. Fill it with love. I'll see you.